a lot of people point to Andrew Tate and say, like, look at how lost young men are, that they are, you know, sort of finding these guys who have these, you know, arguably misogynistic belief systems, and they're sort of latching onto it because young men feel like they don't have, you know, anybody who cares about them. They feel kind of lost in this world. Do you see yourself as kind of like an antidote to a lot of these problems that the modern man has? And do you consider yourself part of the manosphere?
I've never heard the manosphere.
Never heard manosphere. It's a bunch of men online.
Yeah,
talking about
here's what I'll
their
say.
Self-interest.
I'm on podcasts, and half the time you don't even know this, but I feel like an idiot, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm in this primal vacuum, this primal bubble. I don't get the news. I don't consume content.
Right.
Where I don't leave my compounds. I have Liver King Ranch, Lake House, and Beach House. These are places I go. And then when people start talking
Liver King Ranch, Lake House, and Beach House. That just sounds nice, bro. That sounds like a great life.
Other people or policy or politics, I always say, listen, if you can take personal accountability and responsibility and you got your shit in order, now go get your house in order. And if you can get your house in order, go help your neighbor. And once you can help your neighbor, go help your community. And then we can sit down at dinner and then we can talk about whatever politic or policy or whatever. So people talk to me about people and like relationships going on in the news. I'm like, I really don't know. And I'll joke around and be like, hey, I don't know. That's an attack on my character. That's fucking strike one for you, man. But the truth is, I really don't know.
Right.
And what I actually know about Andrew Tate is so superficial, surface level. You know, so what I'll say is this.
So pretty much he just knows the things that most people rant on about, like the things that they love about him and the things that they hate about him. Pretty much the womanizing shit, right? All the things he says about women. But he doesn't really study his stuff. Like he said, he doesn't even consume content. But this guy's over here promoting like everybody to eat like straight raw meat, like straight raw liver and shit like that.
That's too much.
Yeah, which is, I think it's great. I don't know. I want to try it. Honestly, he's convinced me to try it. I've seen Liver King enough popping off now that I'm like, I want to try it. I want to try liver.
There's nothing toxic about masculinity.
Wait. Actually, he's popping off when like Jeffrey Dahmer kind of popped off.
Oh my god.
It's kind of crazy.
Oh my god.
That's crazy, bro. No, it's not even funny. That's not even funny. Let me stop.
I believe that men and women are not created equally.
You know what's funny?
Right? I believe that
in my new place where I just started working, when people order omakase menu that already has everything included, right? So you ask them if they're okay with the organs meat or no. Because a lot of people say no, and then you have to mention to the chef that they're not going to eat.
Did you try it yet?
Delivered. No.
Would you try it?
I ate it. My mom used to cook it when I used to live in Russia, like chicken liver and stuff like that.
Oh, you eat liver? Just like that?
No, not rare. Fuck. Cooked, obviously.
Boring. I used to have foie gras. Foie gras is amazing. Have it.
They're complementary and we're complementary opposites of one another, right? This is why a man is called a man and a woman is called a woman, because we're complementary opposites, right? I believe that a man...
so you see, he says it in the nice way, in the way would you say he says it? Because Fresh and Fit are like, oh, we're not equal, and then Andrew Tate and now Fresh and Fit and Sneeko, they're like, okay, we're trying to not say we're not equal. We're trying to say men and women have different roles. We're different. We're just different. That's it. We're just different. We're not equal, but we're different. All right, we're equal in the sense of we have the same opportunities, like job opportunities, human rights.
Okay,
yeah.
Purpose built for physical strength, to fight, to protect, and to fight, to protect, and to provide. Right? I believe that a woman is purpose built for social and emotional strength, to nurture, to nourish, to caretake, and to compassion make. For her complementary opposite. From an intellectual and spiritual standpoint, I'm sure it's a level playing field. But we need one another as complementary opposites to express our highest and most dominant form holistically, right? So I don't know if you can assign whatever adjective you want to that, right? But the thing is, I know that men are really hurting today, right? And so I do believe, like I said earlier, that I think the modern day manicured man, he knows that he's meant for more. He doesn't know how to achieve it, right? And guess what? He wants to be with an 8, 9, or 10, and when I say that, I don't just mean it physically, right? He wants to level up, but guess what? You got to fucking level up to do that. To attract your complementary opposite. I talk to my kids about this all the time. Like, listen, if you want to be with a 10, you got to be a 10.
Yeah, because, okay, this is the thing about fitness, is that for a lot of men, you are aware.
What do you think I say that? Because, see, like, that's the kind of dad I like to be, bro. You know what I'm saying? I want to be fit. I'm getting there. I'm eating. I'm chubbying up. I'm working out. And it's like, I want to be able to tell my kid the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because all these ideas, all these things that we talk about this shit often, honestly. It's probably like annoying the shit out of you at this point. But it's like, these are the way in which this is the way in which I like to explain it. You know what I'm saying? What do you think?
The man and woman need each other to basically...
Yeah, so we're different. We all have our own roles, right? And we need to embrace our roles. And I think that society right now is trying to tell essentially men, hey, become more vulnerable, and with women it's like become more masculine, and that's how we're kind of destroying the family within inside out, because nobody wants to embrace their true roles anymore, or at the very least they don't want to understand it and embrace it. Self-awareness comes with understanding, right? And then being self-disciplined, or being holding yourself accountable, right, is by doing what you're doing, right? So embracing your role, doing your role.
In my opinion, if there is a family, for example, which is the upside down family, and the woman wants to provide and the man wants to be home with the kids, if that works for them and they both are happy, you should let them do it. So it doesn't mean that your gender, in my opinion, tells you, okay, if you're a man, you only have to do this, or if you're a woman, you only have to do this.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily it does, but I think from a biological standpoint, that's where it kind of does, right?
From biological, yes,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that I am for happiness in the relationship and in families. And if in family you agree with your spouse, right, that it works, that one day she works, one day he works, and then they, for example, switch taking care of the kids, and it makes them both happy, then let them go for it. Or if there is another family,
I would say yes, let them go for it. I don't think you shouldn't tell people not to be able to do things, or you should restrict them from doing things. I think that having that kind of outlook is irresponsible, because it's like saying, oh, today I'm going to be feminine, today I'm not going to work, tomorrow I'm going to work, then the day after I'm going to work. There's no consistency.
No,
with no consistency, and if you don't understand your roles, and one day you're choosing your role and then the other day you're choosing another role, it's not a good dynamic.
I'm not saying that they should be switching.
That's really what you said.
No, I said, I'm not saying that today, I decide to do this, tomorrow I decide to do this. No, I'm saying that they have to come to one agreement that always works for them.
So one of them is feminine and one of them is masculine.
Yes.
And they have to embrace that role. Understand their role, embrace that role.
Yes, but they can decide for themselves who is doing what.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. As long as they stick to it and they're consistent with it, they agree with it, I think that's the most responsible way in which you can maintain a good, healthy family.
You have to just make sure that you don't shut the other person off doing something. Because there is a lot of, for example, maybe you're just going to make fun of me right now, but there is a lot of men who want to build a business and provide for a family, right? And they do their masculine role, but they like to come home and cook. And you cannot shut it off from this person. Or for example, there is a woman who likes to take care of the kids and the household, but then she has her hobby that brings a lot of money, for example.
Nobody's saying you shouldn't be able to do those things. The point that you're making is a small majority of men, and sure, I agree that may apply to a small majority of guys.
Yes.
But you cannot apply that to most
No,
guys.
I'm not saying about the
I know,
but the way you talking is, if he's a man, 100% they have to do this. I'm saying that there has to be an exclusions and everybody decide for themselves. That is my... Here we go.
So, what the fuck was I saying? All right, my point is that you're making, like, I get what you're saying. You're just putting a lot of things. It's just like, men need to understand what they have to do. They need to understand their roles. Women need to understand their roles and need to embrace it. Right now, society is not promoting women to embrace or even understand their roles at all. That's why they're usually, for the most part, unself-aware. They're not self-aware, and they can't take responsibility or accountability. Therefore, they chase the wrong thing, and that's destroying the family from the inside out. All right, same thing for men. Men understand what they need to do, but they get confused because they listen to women. That's my main point. That's it. That's my main point of contention. I know you immediately, you think about what I'm saying, and then you think about the small little things that aren't relevant to most people. You get what I'm saying? That's where people say, oh, the exception is not the rule. The exception doesn't make the rule. The exceptions may be true in certain cases, in some few cases, but they don't make the rule. If people understand and know the rule, then they could follow the rule when they get lost. If people sat here and they just made exceptions, then they'd be inconsistent and they'd be like, okay, I'm confused. But Maria said this. But George said, but Maria said, you get what I'm saying? When in the end of the day, I don't make the rule. You don't make the rule. There's just one rule. When you get lost, you get back on the path. That's it.
You were too strict.
Maybe I am strict.
To the opposite sex or the same sex, if that's how you swing. You know, you can have money, you can have cars, you can have a nice house, you could have, you know, a great job or like a lifestyle that would attract a girl or whatever. But if you're a guy with a regular job and you don't really have a lot going for you, your fitness is realistically the most achievable thing. You know, you could become a fucking gym rat and get in great shape. And at the very least, when a woman looks at you, she's going to be able to see, this is a guy who has mastery at least over this one part of his life. And that's the thing that I think is important about fitness and why I really want to lose weight. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with like how I'm viewed or whatever. You know, I've been in a relationship for 6 years. It's not like I really think that's going to change anything in my personal
That's cap, bro. You feeling soft. That's why.
life. But it's the kind of thing where if you exhibit to the world that you have complete control over the most obvious part of your presentation, then that tells the whole world that you're in control of your shit, and that can go a long way. That could maybe be the start of you getting into relationships with the people you want to be with, or being able to, you know, go further in life, have people like you more, etc. Your fitness is the one thing that you could just sort of, you know, change your grocery shopping or get a gym membership, and all of a sudden you're in the game, you know?
And that's what Andrew Tate says a lot, right? It's like people are they try to take control over everything in their life or other businesses and all that shit. But how are you going to take control of other things if you can't even take control of yourself and what you put in your mouth? You get what I'm saying? Like, that's why you see Fresh, you see DJ Academics, they both need to start losing weight, and Fresh is the one that's losing weight and he's starting a challenge. You see him now, he's starting to wake up, he's starting to see, yo, you're right. Like, I've been soft. I've been comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I had to put in a lot of work starting these podcasts and all that shit. It's made me super soft. Look at my body. I don't respect myself. I don't like the person I see in the mirror. I need to make a change, right? And I'm a leader. I'm a vocal. I'm an influencer, whatever you want to say. Other people watch me. If I sit here and I'm behind the camera and I'm talking and I look soft, what the fuck am I doing? I'm just making money for looking soft. And I'm just going to get worse and worse and worse over time, right? That's why people sit here and they come at H3, Ethan Klein.
Yeah, strength is absolutely like the fundamental virtue of man.
Right.
No other value exists without strength. You got to be alive to philosophize. You need strength. So I would say the way
Socrates.
that we look bare-chested and the way that we talk, these are outward expressions of what we believe. You show me a man bare-chested, you let me have a 10-minute conversation with him, figure out what their philosophies, their principles are, what do they fight for in life, and I'll tell you if I want that man in my tribe if the zombie apocalypse comes. This is what I like to tell people, because a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you wear a shirt? You know, how come you don't shave your face? Why do you do this stuff? I'm like, well, this is how I've been living for a long fucking time. I'm not going to not do that once I've gotten on social media. But you know what? I wish other people did it too.
Right.
You know, come over to my house. Guess what? We're going swimming. We're going to fucking hang out, my man. We're going to talk for a little while. And if you won't let that guard down, and if you won't reveal your character, you know, then I don't know enough inputs to know if I want you in my ecosystem or not. But guess what? I'm not surprised when I see a giant like Joe Rogan that's jacked and ripped, articulate as fucking hell, doing what nobody's ever done before, right? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. I'm not surprised. Every once in a while, actually I shouldn't say every once in a while, a lot of times you see influencers that are going online that have great physiques, but I always say that cheating doesn't scale, right? They have great physiques, but they're not investing the time to develop themselves socially, emotionally, to deeply connect, which we got to be able to do, you know, to create impact.
So you see, it's like, and that's our role as masculine, right? Is to be mentally aware, to be physically strong, you know what I'm saying? To be emotionally resilient, right? These are the things that we must develop every single day of our lives. We don't make any excuse for this. Fuck the camera, god damn it!
Here.
And they're not sharpening their mental sword, and you can tell by their language. This is why language is so important, because we assign meaning, you know, to what we hear and to what we say. And so I think over time, if you create value, people will pay for your value over time.
Let me tell you though, it's so much worse than you probably think it is in terms of how fried these young kids' minds are by social media and their phones, where I'm telling you that, like, you know, when we used to have the store on Melrose, I would be around a lot of young people, you know, just who are sort of in the store and hanging out, friends of friends coming around. And so I'm really getting to kind of see what the mind of an average, you know, 18-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever it is in society. And so many of them just seem like they're so lacking in social skills because they're just so used to being able to be on their phone, and you'd see it manifest in weird ways where, you know, somebody'd be like lurking around like friend of a friend in the group, and then all of a sudden he's like tweeting some shit talk or like putting some shit on his Instagram story that night or some shit, and we're like, whoa, like this dude is so raised by the internet that he thinks that this is a normal way to communicate. And meanwhile, like, we're really being around people on a day-to-day basis and having to actually be able to thrive in this environment. You need a lot of, you know, social skills and a lot of street smarts.
This is up to parents. You know, this is up to parents and role models. You know, I take my kids almost everywhere I go. And when I do that, I make them talk to girls. I don't remember the first time I did that, they literally couldn't talk. And I don't know if you remember when you first started doing that.
Bro, I remember fucking taking Christopher to the park, bro, from fucking cousin's kid, bro. And yo, this kid has a way about, he just goes up to girls. He's like, hi, my name is Chris. Like, they'll ignore me. He'll be like, hi, my name is Chris. What's your name?
That is so adorable. Remember how
he'll be very persistent.
Out of nowhere when he said that he loves me and stuff. Like, you have to have balls to do that. That's crazy. Not every kid has that.
It's good to instill it while they're young, bro. And that's the thing, is that they may instill it when they're young, and you gotta keep it that way. You know what I'm saying? Because social media will take that away from them. You gotta keep that curiosity, that energy.
I do too, and I was horrific.
Terrifying.
Okay, so
yeah,
you know, and it wasn't until I had done it hundreds of times that it was okay, you know, and then it became my way of life. And then I remember when I met my wife, I was on a chairlift, and I saw a girl. And I was like, okay, I see a girl. This is what I do. I'm going to go take a rep. This is how I met my soulmate. Right. Because I take those reps because of the social interaction, because our ability to connect deeply. Right. And you get so much out of that. So I want to just make sure, you know, my kids also have that skill. I believe that you can learn that skill. But I see the same thing. I see this sort of really awkward interaction and how people are attempting to communicate today. Right. And there's this connection that's missing. And so again, this is one of my 9 ancestral tenets. I say, put down the goddamn phone and let's do this stuff real life in person. And guess what? The first several times it's going to be horrific, right? But I just tell my kids, hey, just to say, first say it with your body language. I tell them, say it with your body language. And I always say, listen, it's not even what you say, it's how you say it. People rarely remember what you ever said. They're going to remember how you made them feel. So what you need to do is go over there, and you already know your worth, value, and potential. You keep your shoulders back, you keep your chest up. Hey, how's it going?
I look back on times where I did that in my life, like times where I, you know, just cold approached a girl at the coffee shop and sparked up a conversation and got her phone number. That could be the best fucking feeling in the world, because for some reason that the most basic human interaction can be the most overwhelming feeling if you're a dude.
Common
you know,
W.
just sparking up a conversation. But you understand why, is because, you know, a lot of girls are like in the most guarded mental state possible when they're out in public, because such a large percentage of the dudes who try to have a conversation with them are going to be the weirdest motherfuckers on earth, you know?
So this is what we're up against.
Yeah.
And I tell them, so we rehearse this. I'm like, listen, it hardly ever goes well. They look weird. They can't believe somebody's talking to them.
You know what's funny? It's so funny when they talk about it, but you actually have to watch some of the dating e-dates that I've been watching, bro. And like the random guys they bring on, bro, they'll be so cringe. But I'm just so proud that they're actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like when you watch it, you're like, damn, bro. Like they're not gonna get anywhere. Like definitely not in this first interaction. Okay. But my thing is like, yo, at least they had the balls to get on camera in front of a lot of people watching them.
Exactly.
And to actually try it out. And I'm like, that's the only way. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to listen to other people talk about it. And then when you see somebody else actually go through it, that you're like, I could definitely do better than that. You know what I'm saying? And that person's trying and you're not. Like, it makes you feel some kind of way. So it's like, it's always good to socialize in that sense.
True. Or a lot of times when we go places, they might be touristy places. These young girls are with their families, you know. And so it's acknowledging the dad too. Hey, dad, how's it going? Really just want to say hi to your daughter. Yeah. You know, and again, like it's just getting those reps in. So because of this environment, because of what people expect today, they're up against a wall. But we're going to keep doing this, right? This is important to me. You know the value in it. It's going to be rarely rare. You're going to have outliers that have achieved a whole lot in life. And I think you're gonna have outliers that also have fulfillment. But I believe that you need this skill. You need to be able to deeply connect to really, truly be fulfilled. And that's gonna help you to achieve whatever you're going after.
All right, people, we just hit 300,000 subscribers. You know we're
And
trying
all
to hit
those
400.
and all those things are things that Andrew Tate sits here and promotes on the daily basis, bro. Tell me not, babe.
You need to do what you're supposed to do, not what you feel like fucking doing.
Okay, so get out there, get some work in, do some push-ups, do some pull-ups.
It is your duty to not be a fat piece of shit.